Hello, everybody, and welcome to Friends of the Force. I'm your host, Sarah.
And I'm your host, Brad.
Guys, this is such a special episode for so many reasons. We should start, though, by warning you. That this could be really chaotic because we have been traveling for most of the day. And it's midnight where I am and 1 a.m. where you are. And we've decided to record after a full day of travel. So that just needs to be the warning.
And I think I've gotten a combined 10 hours of sleep over the last 3 days. So
yeah, and I've eaten a total of 2.5 meals in that time. So
yes. I had Buffalo Wild Wings and I had a bag of Doritos chips yesterday.
Yeah, we're functioning at levels that are not what our doctors would recommend.
Probably not.
But more important than that, this is a special episode for two reasons. And the first is that this is our 200th episode. 200.
Yay!
200. Guys. Thank you so much for joining us on this adventure, whether this be the first episode that you've listened to from us, or if you have been there since the first episode that Brad put out. We are so grateful that we have gotten to do this so much that we've made 200 of them. And guys, that just means I show up for them. Brad edits these. So big round of applause to Brad for editing 200 episodes, more if you include Patreon and other stuff. Oh my gosh, so much.
And throughout all 200 episodes editing, I've listened to my voice far too much, but that's okay. I've gotten used to it. It's gotten easier, thankfully, but still cringe. Some days.
Yeah. I mean, such is humanity, such is life. So, but thank you, Brad, for making this podcast happen in that way. Because otherwise, guys, these would be really, really unedited episodes. And
hey, thank you for being here along with me on the journey. Both of us doing some cool things. Because, like you said, 200 episodes. That's the first milestone on this episode.
Exactly.
This is also an episode of our series Andor Candor, which we talk all things Andor on Disney Plus.
I can't believe
it. As you can probably tell by the title, Sarah and I had the pleasure of getting an invite to the Andor launch event at the Capitan Theater in Hollywood. We got to go. It's basically the corporate synergy way of saying we went to the premiere, the launch event.
Yeah.
We got to watch the first 3 episodes in a theater with a crowd of people. There were 5 other podcasters there with us, a ton of fans from the 501st, cosplayers, TikTokers, different people, some stars. The cast of Willow was there. The cast of Andor was there. Kathleen Kennedy was in the crowd. It was a insane experience. And we wanted to take this episode, our 200th episode, to talk about our experience, some of the emotions coming out of it, and then also give you our non-spoiler thoughts on Andor, which drops in a couple of days. So again, no spoilers. We are not giving spoilers. We're just going through kind of what to expect and what we thought of it, which you might have already seen on our tweets. But we are just so jazzed about this series. And it's everything that we've wanted. Spoiler alert there. It's everything that we've wanted. And I think we're excited for the next 9 episodes.
Yeah. And let's take it back to getting the invite, because that was a crazy day, guys. The timetable on this is that it was essentially 16 days from getting the invite to being in Hollywood. Have you ever planned a cross-country trip in less than 2 weeks?
Absolutely not. I was like, how do we do this? Can we find a hotel even?
Can we find a hotel? Can we afford
find
it?
A reasonable priced flights? Timing wise, can we get the days off work?
Right.
It's one of those things that comes up last minute, but for us, we were like, this could be the only thing we ever get invited to like this, and we got to take advantage of it because we want to be there. And I'm so thankful that we got to make it happen.
Yeah, and first of all, we should send our sincerest and most heartfelt thank yous to Lucasfilm for inviting us. I don't know what synergy machines aligned, but I am so deeply grateful. I could cry. so deeply grateful for the opportunity to be there and to enjoy the first 3 episodes with you, Brad, and with many of our podcasting friends across the community, as well as, the costuming community and fans from around the various Star Wars world and the creators as well. Like, what a gift, what a privilege. And I'm just very, very grateful to have been considered among the people attending. So I could cry. I could cry about it. So I just am very, 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 very overwhelmed with gratitude. So
yeah. Also, full disclaimer up front too. This was not a paid by Disney trip. We didn't have anything paid for. Our flights weren't paid for. Our hotels weren't paid for. We just got to go to the theater and watch the episodes. The only thing that was paid for was the 2 popcorn buckets that I plowed my way through in the little El Capitan
yes,
boxes.
Thank you,
little popcorn buckets. Thanks for the water, Disney. So I just want to put that out there though, because as we talk about the experience and the episodes themselves, we're coming from a perspective of we as fans, right? Yeah. As fans who've been anticipating the show and love the character, love Rogue One, especially. We've talked about Rogue One so much on the show, and we are just so blessed to have Diego Luna content back in our lives. As soon as I saw him on the screen, I couldn't believe what we were watching. I was transported back to 2016.
Right. And I want to get there, but I think we should talk about this in some sort of timeline order so people get the gist of it. So we get the invitation, we accept it, very grateful. And then we keep living our lives for 2 weeks and we're like, oh my God, we're going to be ? In Hollywood ? Tomorrow.
The concern was don't get COVID.
Yeah,
that was the first thing.
That was a big concern.
Get COVID.
Also, just stay healthy in general, because that's important, just broadly. But yeah, don't get COVID. And so we were careful and doing our best, and we didn't get COVID. Congrats to us, thank God. But we got into LA at 1 a.m. on Wednesday night into Thursday. And we were ready to go. The first thing you said to me was Cassian Andor. And I knew that it was going to be one Friends of the Force vacation. That's for sure.
Cassian Andor.
See, exactly.
I have to commit to the bit at this point. I can't.
I mean, you already have. You have.
Yeah.
But we got together for breakfast with some friends, and we did a quick jaunt to the Academy Museum, and then we're back. And then we are in line for the red carpet.
Yeah, and this was my first time in Hollywood. I'd never been there before. I was in kind of the larger Los Angeles area for Celebration, obviously. And it was so cool to be near the Chinese theater, and the El Capitan was there, and the Walk of Fame with all the stars on the ground, and we saw the Weird Al Yankovic star on the ground, and we were like, oh my God, it's a
Scarif Beach party
of the Scarif Beach party. It's all connected, right? So it was just really cool to see. I was trying my hardest not to be a super tourist, and we wanted to look like we belonged, but also not look like we were out of towners. So there's a little bit of a balance there, but it was really cool just to see at least what was a piece of Star Wars history, the Chinese theater. Every time you see the old footage of Star Wars, A New Hope getting released, it's always the Chinese theater, massive crowd piling in the front.
Right.
And everybody's lining up to see this massive film that just came out. And it just is really cool to be looking at it. You're like, that's a piece of history. And here we are now across the street from that, about to watch Andor, and that's a new part of the history for Star Wars. And there have been premieres at the El Capitan before, but it's been a while since the Mando one.
Right, yeah, and you missed one of my favorite things that we saw there on that street, and that was the Dolby Theater where the Oscars are held.
Yes.
Okay, we went to the Academy Museum. We had an Oscar moment. As nerds and as people who care too much about the fake award show, it was very exciting for me. But yeah, it was very, very cool to kind of be in the center of it all for a moment. Even though, that street is very touristy in its sense, but that's also a genuine important spot when it comes to Hollywood and when it comes to Star Wars history, as you said. And so it was very cool to just be there.
I was so nervous Thursday morning because, like you said, we got in very late on Wednesday night. Like, I was delirious. I was out of my mind. I was keeping
That's
you
true.
up far later than I needed to by just like,
Yeah.
we were describing it as like when you have a sleepover when you're young and you and your friend just don't stop talking. And it's like,
you
who's
turn
going
out
to
the
go to sleep
lights.
first?
Yeah, you turn out the lights and you're like, okay, sleep time. And then you're like, okay, but like I have another story to tell, you know? And that was us. It was really bad.
So it's like, okay, well, are we going to get enough sleep to function tomorrow? And luckily, like you said, we got breakfast. I had a lot of coffee, and we just had to keep the energy going. I think that was the right move. Like, we figured, let's go to the Academy Museum. It's brand new. An hour there is an hour spent somewhere, right? Versus like in our hotel room where we might get tired, might get sleepy, might hit that wall. We just kept it going, and we were like stuck in LA traffic. I can never move to LA. I say that, but I probably will eventually. But I could never move to LA. It's horrible. The traffic's so bad. It's terrible. I was so nervous we were going to be super late because we were just literally stuck in an intersection where like everybody was piled in the middle of it.
We were stuck in the middle of the intersection. I mean, like,
yeah,
2 lanes,
you could
each lane,
wave at the
4-way
oncoming
intersection.
cars.
Yeah, like if the car wanted to accelerate, I would have been smushed, you know, like that's how we were in the middle of the intersection. But yeah, then, you know, we got in our outfits. So do you want to describe, you know, people have probably seen a photo from us if they're watching this or listening to this, I hope, but describe the theory of the outfit. I feel like the red carpet fashion, very important.
Yes, obviously. I was wearing dark blue jeans, some Vans, and I was wearing a dark gray collared button down polo shirt that had little designs of X-Wings and TIE fighters and Millennium Falcon, Death Stars, Star Destroyers, all these little ship designs.
It was good. Yeah. And I wanted to go for like dark side sporty chic. And I really thought long and hard about this. I said, I'm on the wrong side right now. But nothing can beat like a black dress that like just like fits. And you're like, okay, how can we accessorize this with red? Ah, yes, we're the dark side. And so that was the vibe. And I was like, yes, I know I'm on the wrong side of history with regards to this Star Wars TV show, but that's okay. It's all in the name of fashion. So we get to the carpet, and we saw it earlier, like being put up in the day, and we were like, oh my gosh, they're putting the posters up. Oh my gosh, they're rolling out the red carpet. And then we were on it like 10 hours later.
Yeah, it was wild. There was like a huge line outside of Will Call because there was like a fan pit where fans could come up on the outside of the red carpet and like line up for autographs or photo ops with some of the people that were walking through. And then we lined up on the other side. We went in, got our badges, and you're kind of shuffled through this like tunnel in a way. And there's all these different like posters on the wall, like the character posters from Andor, different like logo styles. There was a B2 emo replica.
B2 emo.
You know, you couldn't go right up to him and take a selfie, but we managed to get a selfie pointing in the background at him.
Yeah, he was there.
And then we saw like we saw, you're like, Brad. I looked, and it's Genevieve O'Reilly, and I'm like, holy shit, she's right there. She's real. She's very tall. Oh my gosh, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we saw like, you're like, Brad. I was like, oh guys, it's Diego. You're like, no, it's the guy from High School Musical, the series. I'm like,
guys, I was so excited to see Matt Cornett, who plays EJ from High School Musical series. And I was like, if I see him again, we got to ask for a selfie. And then I saw him again, and he was like, maybe like, as we go down this carpet, there's some photo ops at the end of the carpet. But I mean, we are smushed with people. It is so many people in this space. It was overwhelming. You just think of like being in a subway car that's too full. Like that was this for a little moment there. He was really close to me, and I'm like, I'm not going to ask him. And then we saw him again. He was taking photos with a friend who he was with, and I was like, we can't. And Brad was like, we're going to ask him. And then we did, and he was really nice. So we have a photo with Matt Cornett, who plays EJ in High School Musical series. And I'm laughing because like, this is the most absurd thing. Like, I love High School Musical series so much. It's such a silly show. And I have a great time with the meta plot. And I just didn't expect to see a High School Musical series actor at the Star Wars premiere. I should have known better, but it was great. Thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's it.
Yeah, if you had asked us like, oh, who do you think you're going to get a photo with coming out of the event? I would not have said like, oh, a cast member from the High School Musical show.
But
but we did.
I'll take it. And then we also said hello to Janina Gavankar, who plays Iden Versio, and also is playing.
She was so nice.
Yeah, she's playing Ahsoka's mom in Tales of the Jedi, and she's someone I didn't meet in 2019 at Celebration. I was like, I didn't have a ton of extra cash to spend on photo ops, but I really thought about it, and then I didn't, and then I've regretted it ever since. And I got to tell her how much Iden Versio means to me. She's like, oh, it's so nice, and she was really lovely, and she's also gorgeous, and it was. It was a lovely moment. So
yeah, she was talking to an Ahsoka cosplayer, which was very fitting.
Right. Yes.
So glad we have more Janina. And like we said, the whole cast of Willow was there. So this is the second time that I have been within like spitting distance of Erin Kellyman, and I missed her again because in Celebration Chicago, I walked right by her at the store. I was like, that looks like Erin Kellyman, and it was her.
And it was.
And then this time, like, I missed Erin Kellyman again, but it's okay. She was there. She was there. So
yeah, and we got to see so many faces from around the Star Wars internet, TikTokers, YouTubers, fellow podcasters, as we mentioned before, cosplayers, just everyone. And it was so lovely to, put names to faces and put, icons that are not their actual face to their actual face. And so it was really lovely. Oh my gosh, who else? What else? We got so many photos, and I saw the Mom Mothma costume dress, and I had a very religious moment. It was very amazing, gorgeous, stunning, iconic. And then we continued to take some more pictures, and then we decided we were going to go inside. And we locked our phones away forever.
Yeah, I actually loved how they did that. And I know that's a common thing for screener premieres and like press premieres, stuff like that, where you have to lock your phone up, and there's it's like a little bag that gets magnetically sealed and you can't unseal it. They have these like specific machines that they put it back into, and it unseals the magnets. So it's really nice because you go in there and you're not worrying about people like taking out their phones or texting during the movie or the TV show in this case, or being on their phones or taking flash photography and stuff like that. So it was kind of nice. Like I feel like every time I go to the theater, I always experience some sort of schmuck who is on his phone or his or her phone and just like totally interrupting the experience. And it was really nice to sort of go into this bubble where everybody was wondering what we kept asking each other, like, what time is it? And nobody had a watch on. Nobody had a phone. We were just living in like pure ignorant bliss, like not knowing what the hell was going on and when it was going on. It was wonderful.
And we definitely started late, but none of us had any idea how late. Yeah. So it was very funny.
It's like truly living in the moment, you know?
Yeah. But then it's about to start, and the organist gets lowered with his organ, and then Diego Luna and Tony Gilroy walk out, and we are sitting very close to the front.
In the third row, center.
We're in the third row, and I am looking into Diego and Tony's faces, and I'm like, oh my God, this is happening. I could cry. I'm going to cry. They're beautiful. They're real. They look so great. Like all the overwhelming emotions.
Diego is the most adorable person in the world. Like he just seems so genuinely happy. And it felt very exciting for him to be there. And I think he was really having a good time. And also like Tony showed a bit of his personality as well. Like he seemed very proud of what he was about to show. He kept saying how thankful he was for like Disney to do something a little more kind of like out there compared to what Star Wars has done before, and to like really push some boundaries. And he was very thankful for the support from like Kathleen Kennedy on that, and having Diego as another executive producer. And also just the way that Diego talks about the Andor TV series, it seems like a very personal story to him, whether it's just him getting to re-inhabit that character, a character that he just really knows and connects with on a deep level, you know? And so that's exciting for him. It was really nice to hear from both of them. And then, they called some names. Diego took out a sheet and he started calling out names from people who worked on the show. So he called out, Genevieve O'Reilly's name, Adria
everybody
Arjona,
who was there,
Kyle Solar. So they all started kind of standing up. He's like Kathleen Kennedy. And I was like, oh, she's not here. I look behind, Kathleen Kennedy stands up like, 6 rows behind us. I'm like, holy shit. That's Kathleen Kennedy, like in the flesh. I've never seen her in person before because I always in a different room watching a stream at Celebration. So that was cool. That was awesome. Nicholas Bertel.
Yeah. Nicholas Bertel. That's what I was about to say. Because being in the room with the composer, listening to his music, especially this music, as you guys will see once it has dropped, it was a real moment for me, like a real capital M moment for me. So
yeah. And this was both of our first times at the El Capitan Theater. So what's really cool about it is the curtains come down, they do like a light show. And I don't know about you, but I was kind of just like, my eyes were glued to it all. I was like, I felt like a kid. You know, it's this whole light show, and like they show the Hollywood signs. It almost makes you feel like you're at the Oscars, like the way that it's done. You're like, this is really special. And they do that, and then they lift the screen up, the curtains back up, the lights dim even more, and you just see Lucasfilm. And I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Like, we put this in perspective. We have not seen a new Star Wars, like the excitement of the Lucasfilm logo showing up before you get to watch a new Star Wars in a theater since The Rise of Skywalker. You know?
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's been almost 3 years since we've gotten to experience new Star Wars like that.
And this was a great crowd too, because it was all fans who were really excited to be there. So lots of cheering, lots of clapping. Watch this with your friends. You know, if you've got Star Wars friends nearby, like this is a good one to do that with.
I will say one final thing too is just, I think the whole experience in general was just so special because like the people that we were with, not even just like getting to be there, but like the people that we got to share it with. Like we hung out a lot with Charlotte and Caitlin from Sky Talkers. We finally got to meet Chase and Brian from Pink Milk. We sat with Tori, our friend Tori Fox, who's been on the show so often
and our friends
before.
Over at Triad of the Force.
Yeah, so it was just really cool to share the experience with a few other podcasters as well. So like hats off to them for also getting to go to this and share in the joy. And I think it was pretty much everybody's first time doing this, with the exception of Sky Talkers, who went to the solo premiere. And it was really, kudos to them for helping us figure out what the heck
we were doing,
how to pack and what to bring and what to expect. So thank you to both you guys. But I just, again, like you said, just so grateful to Lucasfilm and Disney for inviting us. And I think it was just really, really special. I feel humbled. That's all I can really say. But yeah, let's get into our thoughts on Andor, non-spoiler thoughts. So again, we watched all 3 episodes. It clocks in at about 1 hour, 45 minutes. They did them right back to back to back. And we watched all of them. And then the credits rolled and it was done.
Yeah. So let's answer this one together on 3. And the question is, did we like it? So ponder your answer. Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. Yes.
Kissing Andor.
Oh my God.
That's Stellan Skarsgård speak for absolutely freaking yes. I loved it.
I literally cannot believe you did the bit.
I know, you weren't expecting it.
I was trying to really have like a nice in sync yes moment. But yes, no, we really enjoyed the show. Brad, you say more. Go say more.
Andor is a series that is unlike anything that we've seen in Star Wars before. It is bold. It is fresh. We are taking a very close look at a piece of the galaxy that we've never seen before. It seems like with the show, there's a huge focus on like the mid-rim and what's happening on some of those planets that we have never been to, like Ferrix and some of the other ones I can't remember the names of because, again, just very overwhelmed and the details slip by me. But we get to jump into these worlds and like understand these characters like on a very deep level. It really feels like Tony wanted to dig into the characters, like each of the characters, and like I feel like I got to inhabit their mindsets so easily, just with the way they were written and the way that they interacted with each other. The show just drops you into these people's lives, and the writing is just so freaking good. The characters are just so brilliant. The performances are great. Kyle Soller is especially a standout. Like he is playing his character, Cyrocar, and somebody he said that you would love to hate. And that's like the most accurate way to describe this character. He is somebody that I'm going to keep a close eye on throughout the series. And I think we all should, because he's got a really interesting journey ahead. But the first 3 episodes are directed by Toby Haynes, and there's like a very clear thematic structure to it. It's like, it's about Cassian, it's about like where he's been and where he's going, and it's about like this choice that he makes to that kind of propels the series into what's going to happen next. You know, like that's the setup for the first 3 episodes, is like the laying the groundwork and then what's next.
Yeah, totally. And it really is meant to be watched in one sitting, in a single arc. So if you have the ability to do that, do it. If you can make it happen, make it happen. Because it really, I think, is best viewed kind of all as one piece. It definitely feels all like one piece. And I agree with you when you say that, you know, we're dropped into these worlds and we're kind of getting to explore new worlds and what they have to offer, and the kind of interesting situation that they find themselves in. And this is a show that has really made me think about the galaxy in a different way already. And if it's already kind of challenging me in the first 3 episodes, and I'd say challenging as in like making me go, oh, and not like challenging in a bad connotation, then I'm really curious to see where we go from here. I overall found it to be really compelling. As you said, Brad, you know, all the performances are great. Kyle Soller is the standout, for sure. We get a lot of Cyrocar in the first 3 episodes, and I will not say anything, but I think he does excellent work. Just genuinely excellent work. Cyril is a complex, but also very simple character to define, and he plays him with such specificity that I am just glued to his performance. I'm absolutely glued to the screen. I also think this is just a beautiful arc of 3 episodes. It's funny, it's sad, it's hopeful, it's adventurous, it is menacing, it's mature. It's very, very interesting, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the wide Star Wars community, both you know, casual fans and people who are much like us and are thinking about this stuff all the time, what they think. And I hope that people like this one. I think that they will. That's where I'm going. I think that you guys are going to like this one overall, and I really hope that you do, because I think we're going to have some really, really interesting conversations about the politics and the complexities and the maturity. I know I'm saying all these buzzwords over again, but I'm really trying not to give anything away. And just the nature of rebellion and how it forms. And I think that we're also going to be talking a lot about Cyrocar. Like I really do think we are. Which should be an interesting journey. But yeah, I am so compelled by these characters, by this story. Count me all the heck in.
Yeah, and something that the show does really well is it has like a little bit of a slower, more deliberate pace with the characters, and I think that's why I'm able to understand them so well and get a look at their lives, even though their lives don't necessarily contribute to the galactic stakes. I feel like the character building in the show is like so freaking good, and I just can't wait to see like what can be done in 24 episodes. I think it's significant that Andor is the longest season of any Star Wars TV show, because Mando has only ever been 8. So
live action.
Yeah.
I think Bad Batch was 16, but yeah, 24 at the same time feels like nothing at all, and a ton of episodes. I find myself very I feel like we've just gotten started, but also like, oh no, it started. That means it's going to end, you know, and we know where it ends. So it's like, okay, now we just have to be on this journey and be ready to go. But this story really feels like, I was explaining this to Brad and Charlie and Caitlin, and as we were just sitting and talking, and I was like, for me, it really feels like Star Wars is a tapestry or a big mural painting, right? And when they go in and they tell a new story, sometimes they're creating finer details on a section that's already been drawn. You know, sometimes they are repainting a section or going over it with more vibrant colors. Sometimes they are going into the center of the painting or going out towards the corners of the painting. And it really feels like this is a part of the painting that hasn't yet been painted. And like, yes, we know the main character. Yes, we know where he ends. Yes, we know where this all plays within the story. However, everything about these episodes feels fresh and feels new and feels like it fits in. I think everybody's going to find Ferrix very interesting. It's got a really dynamic setting. And I also think we're just going to find the interplay between the people and the Empire and other entities in power to be really compelling. And I feel like I'm learning so much already. And so I'm just excited to like really dive into that with everybody, because I think everybody's perspectives is going to bring a different meaning or a different aspect of this new world forward. So I'm like very, very excited to have everybody's voices in this conversation.
Yeah, you're saying it's fresh, and we've talked a lot about new worlds being involved. And I said this to you that I think it's something that you could watch it and say like, it's not Star Wars. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like, it is so different from what we've typically imagined Star Wars to be, that you could be like, oh wow, this is Star Wars, but it's not Star Wars. And that's like a really good feeling, I think. I think that's a bit validating, right? Because sometimes with Star Wars, you just get like a lot of the familiar, like the Jedi and the all the elements that are baked into almost every piece of Star Wars media, right? And this is at its core just like a spy thriller. It's about espionage. Yeah. It's about survival. It's about revolution. It's a story about everyday people who are just trying to get by, and Cassian being one of those people, seeing what he's had to go through and what he is currently going through. And I'm sure we'll unravel more of those pieces as the season goes on. And I think that was needed to start the show. It needed to be a kind of close character study, as well as like giving us so much depth of the characters around him. I think that's a huge successful element of the series thus far, along with the fresh elements that we're talking about and the different type of storytelling that I think Star Wars has needed. And like you said, we're getting a new part of the tapestry that hasn't been touched before, and that's pretty unique and notable.
Yeah, totally. And it really feels like there's going to be a lot of threads that we can pull on here, whether it be the politics of it, or whether it be the characters or the settings, or the interplay between different players in this story. I really think that there's going to be something that we can grab onto in every one of those arenas, which I think will be really fulfilling throughout the season. And we can't leave this episode. We cannot leave episode 200, our Andor Candor premiere episode, without mentioning the king, the icon, the goodest boy of all good boys. Literally the goodest boy of all good boys, B2 Emo. Are you a stan of B2 Emo, just like I am?
He's our guy. He's my boy. I love him.
Without any spoilers, and I'm really not going to say more than this. We were, talking amongst ourselves about what we thought B2 Emo was going to sound like and be like, and we were totally blown away. We were totally wrong. We were totally wrong. Completely unexpected. B2 Emo is king of my heart. Just the sweetest baby boy in the whole world, and I can't wait for us to fall in love collectively as a fandom with yet another sweet baby droid.
Yes, absolutely. And also Fiona Shaw being a part of the like B2 Emo Cassian family unit, I think that she is such a great addition to Star Wars. And as soon as she was on screen, I was like, yeah, this is where she belongs. Like, and I love her in Star Wars. And she was also at the theater too. And I was like, holy shit, that's Fiona Shaw in the crowd. Yes. So that was cool. That was cool. Sarah, what did you feel once episode 3 ended? Credits start rolling, lights dim on, and you're just kind of sitting there in the theater. Everybody's in the crowd, like standing ovation, basically at that point. What was going through your mind?
What was going through my mind was, wow, hope and new beginnings was what the end of the first 3 episodes felt like. And I was just, clapping my hands off here and thinking to myself, oh my God, I go back to my life after this. I'm supposed to just carry on. And I did carry on, but we really did take a second to just stand around and go, wow.
Yeah, it was an experience. I don't know what happened to me at the end of the third episode, but the way that the episode ends and like the sort of arc, this first arc ends, it's one of those moments where you feel like, oh, this could be the end of a movie. Like this could be, okay, this is the last thing I'm going to see until like, 2 years, the next Star Wars movie comes out. And I got to see what's next for Cassian Andor. It's like, no, we're getting the next piece of the puzzle next week, actually, folks. It's going to happen in 7 days, right? And I think that's really what for me cemented the fact that this is like prestige, like Star Wars TV, like unlike anything that we've seen before. I think it's probably going to be the best thing that we've gotten on Disney Plus from Star Wars. No discredit to anything else, because I love everything else. I love Mando. I love Book of Boba Fett. I love Obi-Wan Kenobi. And so for me to say that about Andor is like really high praise and a high bar to set. I just think we have something very special. It feels very cinematic. And again, like I was sobbing at the end of the third episode, like the way that the music kicks in, the cinematography, like the way it all blends together, like with the acting of everybody that we're watching at that moment. It was so beautiful, so touching. It was like the best ending to any Star Wars episode of anything I've ever seen. Maybe besides Siege of Mandalore, but that's a hard one to top. But it actually like gave me some of the same like emotions of Siege of Mandalore. I just felt this like urge to cry, and I just like wept, and I was like, this is just beautiful, right? And I don't think I've ever been moved that way by Star Wars television. And maybe I'm a little biased, and it was because we were in a theater watching it, and there's just something, I think, in Nicole Kidman, beautiful things happen in a place like this, or whatever she says.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
yeah, exactly.
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe that was what I was feeling in that moment, was like, if I'm gonna be heartbroken anywhere about just how beautiful this project is so far, it's here, and I just wept. And it was wonderful. And then we got In and Out and we ate that, and it was great.
Yeah, and you gotta get in and out after you have a religious sort of experience. But I think we should probably close it out there, because we could go on and on and on and on and on and on. There are 9 more episodes after these 3, and we haven't even deep dived into these 3. We've just kind of chatted broadly here. So there will be so much more to come on the podcast feed. So please keep your eyes peeled if you want to join us on this Andor journey. We are thrilled that you are here. Thank you so much for listening. This has been Andor Candor, all that good stuff. Brad, do our real outro now.
Yeah, well, like Sarah said, if you want to hear more from us, we will be covering the show every single week. Some weeks we will have special guests joining us to talk about the series. So we'll have our first discussion up probably on release day or on Thursday. Episodes 1 through 3, full length discussion, especially once we've had time to go through and read subtitles, because there's so many things that I missed because I was so overwhelmed.
Just so much happening, and my brain is like, I don't even know. It's a blur, a happy blur.
Yeah, gotta take extensive notes somehow.
Right.
So yeah, stay tuned for more from us. You can follow Friends of the Force on all of our socials. You can follow Sarah and I as well on those same places. And if you'd be so kind, if you enjoyed the episode, it's your first time listening, or if you're a long time listener, please leave a 5-star rating review if you could, and make sure you're subscribed to the show so all of our new episodes drop into your podcast feed every single week.
Yes, and we also have a Patreon, and we are giving an extra special thanks to our patrons today. Thank you so much. You have helped us get to 200 episodes, as have every single one of our listeners. But a big shout out to our patrons: Amy, Brian with an I, Brian with a Y, Cheryl, Clay, Danny, Davis, Dylan, Donnie, Huang, Jen, Knights of Ren, Leanne, Levi, Lucy, Lindsay, Rob, Saber Bouquet, Sky Talkers, Stephen, Travis, Tom, and T. Thank you all so much for your support, day after day, month after month, episode after episode. Eternally, eternally grateful for all of this.
Yes.
So thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Cannot thank each of you enough for embarking on this 200 episode journey with us. Thank you so much. And until next time, may the Force be with you always.
Bye.